everyone, my name's Tyler, aka Thrifts and Tangles. Over on my channel, we give thrifting, sustainability, and our natural selves a chance. Today I wanted to talk about how to get your partner or even your loved ones, your friends, your family, how do you get them to care about sustainability and how do you get them to live a more sustainable lifestyle? I feel like when you make the decision to live a more sustainable lifestyle, you just want everyone around you to embrace it too, but that's not necessarily how it works. So I hope these tips help you figure out how to get your loved ones to live more sustainably and care about living more sustainably. My first tip is do not force it on them. You cannot force someone to care about sustainability or to be sustainable. You cannot force someone to do what you are doing. No one enjoys being forced to do anything. I feel like people can feel resentful if you force them to live a certain way, and if anything, when you force someone to do something, they usually, I don't know what the psychology is, but usually it's like, okay, well, they're forcing me to do this, so I'm going to totally rebel and never do this thing that they want me to do. So don't ever come off as forceful. Just don't do that. It's not going to be good for anyone. What you can do instead is you can inspire change through your actions. So if you have been living a sustainable lifestyle and you have made some sustainable swaps in your life, if you show the people that you love, hey, I made this swap, or even just do the swap around them, they will be intrigued and maybe they'll start to ask questions and maybe they'll start to question their own habits. But it's only through seeing you through action that I feel like people actually will want to make a difference. So for example, I love thrifting. I don't force anyone who is in my life to go thrifting, but they know I love thrifting and they see that I wear thrifted items and a lot of the items in my apartment are thrifted, and so I share that a lot and I'll mention it to them and they're like, wow, that's really cool. Tell me more. What thrift store do you go to? And they're genuinely intrigued. But I think if you take that approach where you just kind of show people hey, this is what I'm doing, you can easily take your own little tote bag to the grocery store, and when you go to checkout, people might ask you questions like, hey, you're bringing your own bag, why are you doing that? And it just encourages conversation. So you can even inspire strangers by doing super simple actions like bringing your own tote bag when you go grocery shopping, or when you refuse plastic utensils. All those small little things people take notice of and they start to question their own practices, and maybe they'll start to implement the practices that make sense to them in their life. But just keep doing you, keep doing your sustainable acts, and I think it will inspire others to maybe try to be more sustainable. My next tip is to talk it out. So you can, especially this is really good with a partner, you can explain to your partner or to your loved ones why sustainability is important to you. I think when people understand the why behind doing certain things, you can talk about how your behaviors impact the planet, and by not being sustainable, what the consequences are. And I think explaining why it's important to you, you can just say what you learned about sustainability and share why it's important to you. If they care about you, will hopefully be able to say, okay, I understand it's important to you. I will also try to be sustainable. Or they'll just say, okay, I get where you're coming from, and hearing your talking points, it might trigger something in their mind where they're like, okay, that's interesting. I didn't know, this impacted the planet in this way. Let me see what I can do personally to be more sustainable. But I think just being open and honest and communicating is really important. So an example where I did this in my own life is I wanted to stop using plastic water bottles. We were spending way too much money on plastic water bottles and they were just very wasteful. So I told my fiance, I was like, hey, I really want to invest in a Primo water machine. It's a reusable water machine. And we can buy gallon jugs, and the gallon jugs for 5 gallons, it's $1.25. And so I said, yes, this is going to be an investment up front to buy the actual machine, but it'll save us money in the long run. And when I explained it that way, my partner was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Let's give it a try. And now my fiance is like, I can't believe we didn't have this for the longest. I can't believe we used to drink out of plastic water bottles all the time. And me explaining to him why I thought it was important, I was able to convince him hey, we should do this. And we tried it out and he loved it. And I also was able to talk it out with him back when we decided to stop eating off of like paper plates and plastic plates and all that stuff and using plastic utensils. Every single meal we would have,
just because we were lazy and didn't want to do dishes,
we would eat off of paper plates. And so one day it clicked. Like I was like, this is super wasteful. This doesn't make sense. And it's becoming expensive. Paper plates add up over time. And so I told him like, hey, I think we should start using, you know, real plates, you know, like ceramic plates. And we had a conversation. I gave him my points and he's like, okay, you're right. Let's give it a try. And we tried it and it made sense in the long run. And especially when you come from like the money aspect, I think with a partner, it makes sense to make the change and at least to give it a try. But I think just having those conversations and being open and honest about your feelings for things and why you think it's an important thing to maybe swap out if you are making these sustainable swaps. A conversation never hurts. If the person's not willing to try, at least they know how you feel on the issue and they, you know, you got whatever you had to say off your chest. But I think really talking it out and explaining your point is all you really can do, right? Okay, my next tip is if you have a partner, you can have a documentary date night, or if you are just have like a loved one in your life, you could just have a day where you could all watch documentaries together. But there are so many documentaries that are eye-opening on different causes and different issues in the world. So I think if you present some of your favorite documentaries to the people you love, they will be like, wow, that was really interesting. And yeah, it might not inspire change right away, but it'll definitely like trigger that thing in the mind where it's like, I never thought about this before. Like one documentary I would love to watch with some of my loved ones is I would love to watch The True Cost, because some of my loved ones still shop fast fashion. And I think if they watched that documentary, they would understand, you know, everything that goes behind the scenes in the fashion industry, and it could encourage a really great conversation. But I think watching documentaries definitely exposes you to information you didn't know before. And plus it's like something fun to watch. Well, I shouldn't say fun because a lot of the documentaries are not fun, but it's something interesting to watch and you're learning something too. So it's educational. So I think having a documentary day, date night, whatever, and it doesn't have to be like only you watching a documentary you care about. It could be like, hey, I want to watch this documentary. Do you want to pick one too? And just have like a day where you watch documentaries. I love documentaries, so I hope that's something that your partner or your loved ones would be willing to do with you if they like documentaries. Some people find documentaries really boring, so I get it if that doesn't work, but I think documentaries are such a good way to learn new information. My last tip is to try to come to a common agreement, right? Like some people say, you know, we can agree to disagree, and maybe you and your partner or you and your loved ones don't see eye to eye about certain things, but that's okay. You can come to a mutual understanding in a common agreement. Maybe you are going vegan and your family's still eating meat. If you can just come to an agreement where, you know, you say, well, that's okay if you all continue to eat meat and I would like to be vegan. If you could just not serve me meat, that would be amazing. And, you know, just come to an agreement that makes sense for you all. Or maybe even with my paper plate example, let's say your family is not willing to give up paper plates. Just be like, well, you all can continue to eat off paper plates. I might even eat off paper plates, but I'm only going to eat off of paper plates once a month, or, you know, like just come to an agreement that everyone can be happy with. You don't want to, like I said before, force your lifestyle on everyone. If everyone's used to doing something and you drastically change their life, like I said, it can become like a resentful thing, and no one has time for that. Like your relationships are very important and you don't want to put a strain on your relationships if you don't have to. Sometimes it's okay to deal with the strain on the relationship, but I think if you come to a mutual understanding and say, hey, I respect your opinion, this is my opinion, you know, let's not intrude on each other's like behaviors and practices. I think that's all you can really do. But coming to a common agreement is literally going to help this whole process make a little more sense. So those are my 5 tips on how to get your partner to live a more sustainable lifestyle. I hope these tips were helpful. If you have any additional tips, please leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more videos, and I thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!